Cool.
So have you guys been watching any interesting television shows or streaming service things? Have you guys been watching any interesting television shows?
A Quiet Place last night.
Oh.
That's a really good movie. So that movie's had some hype around it. And through the first half hour, I decided that hype was a lie. But then they hit it's, I don't know, it's probably like 2/3 like this one giant like tension action set piece type thing that just like it ends on a non-ending, but it's such a badass non-ending. Like it's I don't know, I really liked it a lot, but it is it's very I don't know that I'd call it a horror movie, but it definitely like has the tension of a horror movie.
More like
a thriller?
Yeah.
Oh.
Jinx.
like the premise is you have these aliens that can only hear, and they will immediately kill whatever they hear. So you have this family, this guy and his 3 kids, basically just trying to be quiet all the time and live out here. It has Emily Blunt, the guy who plays Shazam, and I forget who else, but they all do really well.
I keep meaning to see it, but I'm also a big chicken, so I'm not.
It is sure. I don't know if it's outright scary so much as that you don't want bad things to happen to these people, and they're gonna.
It sounds more like Get Out, where Get Out isn't scary; it's just tense the whole time.
Yeah, that's probably it's a decent comparison if you took out all the jokes.
Okay.
It's just that pure tension for like the last hour. Like the first half hour isn't too bad, but anyway.
Man.
What have you been watching, Mina?
Oh, pretty much more anime. Lots and lots and lots of anime.
Anything you're really enjoying?
I know what I'm going to be enjoying.
Yeah?
Fruits Basket,
yeah.
That came out 2 decades ago. The first Fruits Basket, and I would say that the first Fruits Basket was way more slice of life. Kind of like it's got some really upbeat and light comedy gags and stuff. So while it did have like huge emotional beats in the show, it also was kind of very lighthearted. And I would say that a lot of the more emotional beats probably took people off guard because it was so light and cheery most of the time. This one has really set the tone in a way that's pretty subtle, but it's a different tone. There were like the gags and the light moments that were like happening all the time in the first one, the 2-decade-old one. They're still kind of there, but now it's really more subdued, and it's like a more softer sort of joke, like even softer than it was the first time around. There's way less upbeat music. The upbeat music is a little bit quieter and a little more held back, and this is what's making me think that this time around they're going to be going for a way darker, more emotional, more driven by a lot more things happening that's going to really hit some people pretty hard, because if the first one made me consider what type of person I wanted to be for the rest of my life, this one's probably going to take me back to a very emotional place.
Right.
So,
man, I've always meant to watch the first one. I just never got around to it.
It was the first one that so like back then, because 2 decades ago, remember voice acting back then, right?
It was not good.
It was not good.
Yeah.
So, back then was definitely the time when if you were championing like subtitles always and dubs never.
Yep.
Which was a thing that I'm not going to say wasn't a bad thing for people to like say that, because you would be more often right than wrong that the dub was pretty bad. Like it'd be like, wow, these guys are not putting any emotion. They're reading the lines off a script.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty bad. This was the first time that I listened to the Japanese one first, and I was like, man, I'm not buying these characters, and I didn't know why I didn't buy it, but I was like, I'm gonna go check out the English dub. and Laura Bailey's performance of Toru Honda. I was like, who is this person, and why is she so good at doing lines? And I was like, I need to look up her name. And I was like, Laura Bailey, never heard of her. I'm gonna remember her though.
Right, she's going places.
She's gonna go places.
Yeah.
There are a couple other voice actors on that show that they must have been really a lot of them were from Dragon Ball. The voice actors and Fruits Basket. The company, same company, basically was like, hey, we got this small little hearted anime. Let's just throw you guys on there, and they gave the lead role to Laura Bailey, and I don't know if that set off her career, but for me, anytime I saw her name on anything, I was like, I need to go see what this anime is about. You know, that's what made me go, okay, this Full Metal Alchemist thing, I see Laura Bailey's in the credits. I'm going to see Full Metal. I'm going to look at this Full Metal Alchemist thing.
Right.
So, yeah, that was the one. So the dubbing in that one was actually really good. It was so good. I have to say that when they announced this newer adaptation, they later announced, last month, I guess, they announced that pretty much the entire English voice cast has been asked to come back and reprise all their roles. Wow. Almost all of them. But the Japanese voice cast was like, nope, nobody comes back. And I was like, that's a good call, because that Japanese voice cast was not good.
That's interesting, especially with what's happening with Netflix's Ava release, where they're redubbing it and no one is coming back. Sort of like...
Oh, weird. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, number one, they have not been talking too much about redubbing it, which also makes sense, because that show's 25 years old, so sure, dubbing has come a long way. So have most of these voice actors. But for them to not bring back that lineup who, is fairly famous for good reasons. That was a largely pretty okay dub. That seems really odd. I'll still watch it. But
imagine a Cowboy Bebop without...
without Steve Blum in it. It's sort of like...
You'd be like, I don't know if I can watch this. But
oh my God, what if they got that comedian from Star Trek to do him or something? That'd be weird.
Yeah. I'm glad they announced John Cho as Spike. I think that's a really good casting.
Is it? Okay. I saw it, I'm like,
Yeah, I think that's a cool take on Spike.
The Fruits Basket, though, Laura Bailey, she really has to carry the entire show, because that is a show right there where the main character is involved so much with everything and has to bounce off of like 20 different personalities, and they have to because Toru seems like a pretty simple character, but really got some depth. And I was a little worried that they would not find someone who would be that, that Toru Honda. And then once they announced it was Laura Bailey, I'm like, she can do it. She can do it.
We got it.
We got it. It's solid. The thing is when you listen to the episodes, you're immediately, because the show actually, the first episode started and ended at the same plot points of the first manga and the first episode of the old one. So it's literally, you can put them side by side and see they're going to retread the same spots. It's really interesting to compare some of the characters' voices. Some of them were just slightly different. You can tell that the person's matured since they voiced that role. And then you get to at the very end of the episode, they introduce one of my favorite character of the entire show. And I was like, did this guy climb into a time machine at the end of the last episode from 2 decades ago and just walk into this episode, whips out that voice? It's spot on. It sounds like that character so much more than anything else. I was like, how did this guy keep up with that for basically 20 years?
That's crazy.
That's amazing. So, kudos to that guy, because I was back in love with the character again.
Yeah.
But yeah, super hype about that. And then I'm watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because I'm an addict for that.
I need to catch up on that one. I stopped in I had started the one season that everyone loves so much, and I can't remember why I stopped. I think it was just like I had to watch it on my computer because I wasn't subscribed to Crunchyroll at the time, and I just haven't gone back. It's the one where they start getting the weird summons.
The Steins?
They are. Yeah.
Steins, the Persona, literally what spawned Persona. Yeah. I found that out like that season of JoJo like shortly after that, because that JoJo has like the tarot cards and like them summoning their alternate selves. The first episode, the guy takes a gun to his head and puts it to his head and like, you know, goes to shoot himself with it. And that summons his stand, his persona gets summoned from that. And I'm like, man, if there was ever a moment that I was like, man, now I know where this all came from, because I thought like, man, they really ripped off Persona with this. And then I looked at the time like, okay, when did this actually release in a manga, and when did Persona spawn? I was like, no, Persona stole this.
Yeah.
this is not the other way around. But it's amazing. So JoJo was like pretty instrumental to us having Persona, and you can kind of feel a lot of the stuff that like kind of created that whole game series from that. I would say that season right there is probably, like, I would say the first 2 seasons of JoJo are kind of like, you see like the artist or the creator kind of struggling with what he's trying to present. It's kind of like a little all over the place. I wouldn't say I loved everything about it. Like season 1, I felt the characters were not that strong. Season 2, or it was kind of part 2 of the first season, whatever, when you meet the American JoJo, Joseph, that was when it seemed like he finally started to realize how to make like a really good character. Season 3 is kind of like where he's building like, okay, I understand what I want to kind of do with like this world, and like my style is going to come here in 3. Season 4, which you haven't seen, is kind of where I would say he's finally figured out character, story, world building. Like it's all finally coming together. How to craft a good villain. It's like, that is when I'm like, okay, this is what the rest of the entire JoJo is going to kind of be like, and it's going to be solid all around. So it's kind of interesting to kind of watch. It's like you kind of see like the progression of someone like experiencing and growing up as a creator by watching that entire show.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love it.
Man, someday I'll get to it.
It's I think there's basically what I would say 2 types of JoJo watchers out there. There's the ones that once they get into it, they can't stop talking about it and consuming JoJo media, and then there's the other kinds that are like, this is pretty weird. I don't know if I'm gonna watch this.
Right. This might not be for me.
That's it. There's no like, you know, oh, I watch it occasionally, and you know, no, it's kind of like
sort of like it.
They get into it and they're like, yeah, it was something. I don't think I need to watch anymore. I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing because you can kind of see like how this particular anime and specifically has kind of created genres of anime out there, because a lot of them have looked at what he's done and have adapted a bits of it, and you can kind of see like all the homages that other animes pay to JoJo specifically. Like like I said, the season you're in, the one with the personas being spawned, that particular main character, the guy with his like jacket and the chain and everything, there are a lot of animes out there that design a character that look like him, or they have like costumes like him or something like that there, because he's such a popular character, which is pretty cool.
I mean, his outfit reminds me of the Shimigami Tensei detective outfit a little bit, you know?
Yeah, that spin-off.
Long coat, weird hat, like type of thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But so I was surprised, like when I started that season, they're like, "Oh no, this guy's like a punk and ruffian. He's not the.
He's not a cop."
Yeah.
It's also because of that particular season that you're watching. Back when that was released, back then, like a lot of anime were just doing all power level type stuff. Like everything is like, okay, so in order to beat this guy, I need to train harder to beat this guy and this guy, and you know, just basically escalations like that. that season of JoJo, or basically that manga of JoJo, was one of the earliest types of kind of like, let's not do power levels so much as make somebody have like a specific power, and thusly like characters have to come up with creative ways of fighting each other. So there's not like this power escalation like this,
right.
And you don't have to be like a big beefy guy to beat somebody else. You can instead be like a frail looking woman or an animal or something that's like not scaled to just like, how many muscles can we draw on this guy,
right.
and express how big and powerful he is.
Right.
So
interesting.
That's the interesting history that I found out from that, is how much he paved the way for that sort of anime to kind of be a thing, and why he's like, he was like I think like he actually introduced like one of the first female fighters in like an anime, because he really wanted to draw like a woman fighter, like, but a woman fighter that could actually stand toe to toe to like a guy, instead of just like she has to beat up another girl and
right.
this, you know, basically draw a man looking woman to
right.
make it work. Instead he was like, no, I want to like a woman who looks, you know, feminine and beautiful, and still also fight guys.
Right.
So that was kind of his thing too.
That's interesting. Yeah. All right, you guys ready to start this thing?
Yeah, let's go. I'm sorry I took it on a tangent.
No, that's okay. We're just letting everybody swing in here and get everybody all settled in. Get our voices all warmed up. It's all good. All right, let's get started here in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Musum.
Hello.
And Mina.
Hi.
Quick piece of programming notes. Due to some scheduling conflicts, the next 2 episodes, so May and June, will be a week later, both of those. And then after that, we should be back on our schedule. But hey, man, we get busy. So sometimes our Saturdays are going to get full. So just a week. Shift those back just a week for both of those. Add that out of the way, Musum, what have you been playing this past month?
Well, I figure I'll start with the tale of my tale of Vesperia. So last time, as everyone, if you don't remember, I was having an incredibly difficult time with the game. I was just getting my butt kicked by everything, wasn't doing any good. You guys said, look, just use all your level up items and go forward. So I did that. And I went in, and I wasn't dying, but I wasn't doing any damage to the boss. And that was about a 20-minute fight, and I lost. And I'm like, okay, what is happening here? So then I got online, started looking around forums. I'm like, well, no one's really complaining about this boss. And then someone said, hey, make sure you don't have min damage on.
Oh,
and so then I went into my menu.
Have min damage?
So min damage reduces your damage to 1. And whenever you equip a weapon that has skills on it, you automatically equip those skills. And I hadn't been managing that, and half of my characters had min damage on.
That would do it. Yeah, that's one thing about some of the Tales games that I feel like Kingdom Hearts has very similar skills in that, where it's like half experience, no experience, critical mode, all that stuff. But I feel like Kingdom Hearts does a really good job of, when you go to pick like half experience, no experience, it's very clear that's like, hey, do you want to do this? Because like this is not a default thing. This isn't going to make you stronger. It sounds like Vesperia maybe did not warn you about that.
Yeah, no, they just, like, it was weird too, because like you only get those skills from a weapon. Like, I don't remember what the weapons are called, but like, let's say it's a mace, and then you have to go to your forging thing, and you make a mace +1. And then the mace +1 for some reason comes with min damage, which reduces you to 1, half damage, which reduces half of your damage, and quarter damage, which I think it's quarter damage, which reduces by a quarter, you know, and it auto-equips all of those once you learn them.
Fantastic.
And, like, I just reloaded, didn't use any of my level up stuff, just turned those off, and it's just been like smooth sailing ever since.
Okay.
Yeah, you're probably super leveled at this point.
It's yeah, I kind of just whenever I like die against a boss now, I'll go and use one of my level up things, and I'm
just a little boost, like 5 levels.
Yeah, I figure before the game ends, I'll use them all, and then see what I can carry over on the whatever it is, the grade store new game plus thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But
man, that's too funny. A cautionary tale.
That's that surprised me a lot.
Yeah, are you enjoying Vesperia now though?
I am enjoying way more. I'm still not great at getting the grade points, but more often than not, I at least average like 2 per battle.
That's high, honestly.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
Usually up until like the end game, I'm usually averaging like 0.3 or 0.5. So if you're doing any of them, you're doing all right.
Yeah.
Well, it's like from the point that I adjusted those skills, I did around like 1.5 to 2, and then the new section I got in, I'm back down to like 0 to half a point.
Right.
I just finished the I don't know, the Flying Fortress or something like that, and it landed after that, and they destroyed Axis to get back to the Empire, and I just snuck back in the Empire, and now I get to figure out where I'm going. Like, they've taken away I guess I probably shouldn't just go all out spoilers. They've they've taken away the character I consider to be my main healer,
right,
which I've adapted one of the other characters into that role. The forums seem to like that character better as a healer. I'm still skeptical.
Who's your secondary healer?
Carol.
Oh, yeah, I never really liked him in my party.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I just had a boss fight that was almost going to be a nightmare, because it's just you have to play Carol and you have no other member in your party.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
That is a Tales thing that I sometimes really hate, is when they're like, you can I'm like, I've got 8 characters, but you can only play one here, and it's the one you don't want to play.
The kid with a giant toy squeaky hammer.
It's like, I've played this entire game as Yuri, and now you're gonna make me. So like in that battle, it's funny because I tried it like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, this is impossible. I don't know how am I gonna do this. So I get on the forums, and one guy's like, just put it on auto. So I did that. Yeah. And it worked.
Well, there we go.
The AI can do it.
Just had to survive X amount of time. I didn't think the AI was doing well at all. Like, all he did was get knocked over, but somehow he survived, so...
Wow. Secret tips.
Anyway, I'm hoping I can... I was hoping to have it wrapped up by this podcast, but I guess there's still a ways to go. Like, I think I saw somewhere in a forum that they say this is the game that never ends.
It's long, yeah.
But I have to be getting close. Like, we know who the bad guy is now. He's taking a character. We got to get the character back. I'm assuming we got to beat him, and then we got to beat the world and the living again, or something like that.
Probably, yeah. The thing I remember about that is its final dungeon, because it looks really cool, and I got desperately lost in it.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it might be okay now, but it was. I have a lot of trouble with Tales games final dungeons. I always get lost in them. Like, what was the first PS1 one? Tales of Destiny? I had to drop that game because I got lost in the final dungeon. And I never went back to finish it. Something about those final dungeons in those games are just... They just kill me.
Well, there's no dungeon maps except for one dungeon so far that I've seen.
Yeah.
No, that's just a random thing I noticed of, wow, you guys gave me a map here?
Right, that's weird.
Don't have one, like, even the world map, like, you're like, where am I on this world map?
Yeah.
And this tiny red dot that I'm only going to see if I zoom in on the correct city.
Oh, that's right, I forgot.
It's definitely has some age things in there. I wish they'd kind of updated, but overall, like, it's a gorgeous game. It's, Yuri surprised me in quite a few places. Like, when you kept saying he wasn't a good guy, like, oh, that's why he wasn't a good guy.
Well, Yuri's one of the most complex characters Tales has ever made a protagonist.
Yeah.
And it's probably why he was so beloved by the community that every time they had, like, who's your favorite Tales character poll, Yuri kept winning, and they just basically retired him out because no other
Hall of
Tales...
Fame.
Yeah, it was basically like, we're like, no more Yuri votes because we're done. Let's talk about somebody other than Yuri.
Right.
So, I mean... I think when I first started playing Tales of Vesperia, I was just like, oh, Yuri's just another, you know, because after you played enough Tales games, you kind of just like, oh, he's just going to be another Tales main protagonist.
Yep.
I'm used to this. I know what he's going to be about. And then an
There's
event
that
happens.
one scene where you're like, oh, he's... Okay, interesting.
Oh.
Yeah. I did not expect those. Like, there were 2 scenes, and I did not... Well, okay, I kind of expected the second one after the first one.
Right.
But, like, and part of me thinks there's going to be a third one, too, but we'll see.
Probably, I don't remember.
But that's been... I don't know. It's a really cool game. It's a cool world. It's, I look forward to seeing what the ending is. So then, like, I thought, what's a game that I haven't beat that I've always meant to beat? Oh, yeah, Witcher. I'm near the end on that, aren't I?
Oh, no.
Famous last words.
I started up, and the first thing I realized was, this combat makes no sense. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Right.
And after getting beat up a whole bunch, I went and watched a YouTube video, and oh, right, the way this works is you click on the bad guy, your mouse has a no sword symbol on it, and then it randomly has a sword symbol, and you click when you see the sword symbol.
Oh, that's right.
And you just, like, it's just a weird, quick-timey thing that is a fairly easy thing to do, but if you don't know to do it, you're going to get slaughtered. So I made it through Act 4, and it turns out there are 6 acts in The Witcher.
God.
I am not near the end.
Oh, no.
He literally just washes up on shore at the end of, or at the beginning of Act 5. It's like, oh, I'm in a completely new place. Let's start solving all these people's problems.
Oh, my.
Man.
So I don't know. That's kind of where I left off on that. Once I realized I had to spend a lot more time, but I'm gonna finish it. I am, and it's gonna be this year. I'm committing. It will be in 2019. I will beat The Witcher.
You have 8 months left.
Yes, I can do it.
I believe in you.
Don't have to get everything. Maybe I can even start The Witcher 2 this year.
There you go.
Just maybe.
And then
make
eventually
everyone
make it to
happy
Witcher
by
3.
getting to Get to
Witcher
the one
3
everyone thinks I should just start and skip the others on, but I can't.
I don't know. I want to do it too. I want to play Witcher 3 really badly, and then it's like, but there's 2 games before that. I really want to play these first, and every time I boot up The Witcher, I'm like,
You could just read the first book and then pick up Witcher 3.
Are they just... Do they just repeat the books in the games?
Not really, but all the characters get introduced in The Witcher 1 or the first book.
Oh.
So,
I've considered watching Let's Plays and just being like, well, it's good enough.
yeah, I would do that. I didn't like the combat of Witcher 1 at all.
That's what killed me.
Yeah,
like
and I didn't like how it looked.
Whatever, I played it and I was just like, I don't like this. I hate it.
Yeah. I didn't like it until Witcher 3, and I was like, oh, okay, this game is real good.
I think the thing I dislike most about Witcher 1 is when they throw you in a fight where a NPC can die permanently.
Yeah.
And I think I must have downloaded a patch that offset that, because, like, so I was doing some bar battle, and some guy who used to be a werewolf who I cured showed up to help me, and he kept dying. I'd play the scene, I'd reload.
So cool.
And, like, I basically replayed that fight, like, 3 or 4 times, and I'm just like, forget it. This guy's just going to die.
Right.
And I made it to the end of the fight, and he got back up.
Well, then.
Like, to be clear, when he died mid-battle, it went to a cut scene. It was like the Witcher talking. He's like,
final breath, Witcher.
I let the werewolf
fallen in love, saving from the werewolf's curse. But this isn't a fairy tale. Like,
he's cursing Geralt's name. Oh, man.
It is ridiculous. And I don't know how the rest of the game, like, if that character is a spot he can show up again. Is he going to? Has the game just decided he's dead? Like, I don't know. It was a weird sequence. Anyway, so moving on, so the phrase I want to use is I got into the Elder Scrolls Blades early access.
Oh, I did too.
But you don't really have to do anything special to get into it other than sign up for it. So
and they just opened it up for everyone. I think it was like yesterday too. So
yeah. Well, what do you think about it so far then?
I think for in all of the good and bad ways, it feels like an Elder Scrolls game. Like, characters look a little weird, and it kind of doesn't look that great, but you have cool dungeon crawling, and you have my weakness, which is building a town that's reduced to rubble, and do a couple quests, and the blacksmith will come into town. I'm like, oh no. So far, it doesn't feel like it has too much mobile stuff. Like, you'll find a treasure chest, and the game will say, do you want to open this treasure chest? You do, and it's like 60 seconds, and it'll be open. And that's about it so far. I haven't played a ton, but it feels pretty good. It looks pretty good. I know it's only out on iOS and Android right now, and they said before it's going to come out on PC and web browser and VR and consoles and all that stuff, and you'll be able to do your have like cross save and all that stuff. But how far are you into it, Musen?
Not super far. I made the blacksmith. I upgraded the blacksmith, and then I made the not enchanter, the alchemist.
Okay.
So like for me, like, Elder Scrolls is exploring a really lush, cool world.
Yeah.
So, like, on the one hand, it doesn't feel like an Elder Scrolls game, but on the other hand, it does, because it has all those aesthetics and the music and all the
combat feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like and they do some interesting things with the combat. Like, I ran into a rat and I couldn't hit the rat. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And I realized, oh, it's because I need to hit the rat as he's jumping at me.
Yes.
I'm not going to hit him any other way.
Right. It's like fighting Oddjob in GoldenEye. Like, you can't just swing over him.
Yeah.
Well, and it does have a cool thing where when you touch the screen, there's a ring. It's almost like I equated it to Lost Odyssey, where there's a ring on screen. You tap and hold on the screen, and then you let go when the circle meets the outside of the ring. And if you hit it at good timing, you get a crit. If not, you just sort of do normal damage.
Yeah.
So that feels pretty fun. I found that movement... I didn't really like the tap to move movement that you get when you have it in portrait mode. I did like in landscape mode, you could then get 2 virtual sticks. And I actually found out that moving on the left stick for me worked really well, and then using my other thumb on the screen and not the right stick to look around. So you can sort of, it's this weird like left brain, right brain thing, but that worked pretty well for me. It's nice that there's a bunch of control options, though.
I agree. I think I play it more in portrait mode just because I can do it on one hand.
Yeah,
for the most part. Because I'm usually, like, I have a hard time just fully dedicating myself to a phone game. Like, I have to be doing something else when I'm doing it. And it's, I don't know. I guess it's workable. Like, I ran into a bunch of glitches as I went along. Like, I think, like, the second quest I ever got in the game, like, would just crash my game immediately.
Oh, right.
And, but Bethesda support got back with me in, like, a day or two, and they said something obvious that I forgot to do, which was delete the game and reinstall it.
Oh, okay. Sure, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I should have tried that already. That's my bad.
It certainly does feel like it is early access. It's not one of these like network tests or betas where it's basically the final version. It does very much feel like it's an early version of this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did already run out of room for chests. Like, the problem was I got too many silver chests, which take 3 hours to open. and you can only open one at a time, but luckily you get so much of the paid currency, it was easy enough to double my storage capacity for them.
Oh, okay.
The Alchemist, I really dislike. Like, I like that I can make healing potions now. I don't like that it takes 10 seconds to make a healing potion, and you can't just wait on that screen for it and spam it, because all I want to do is make a bunch of healing potions.
Right.
And I feel like the game fights me on it, because you click on the healing potion, it goes back to the main menu of it, and it starts a 10-second countdown. And then you have to pick it up, and then you have to go back to the brew potion screen and then select healing potion and do it again. And I'd rather it just stay on healing potion and just let me spam it. I'm dying a bunch for some reason, like the last few days, which I don't like. On like 2 out of 5 difficulty missions, which weren't hard the other week.
Right, but maybe they put out some patch and suddenly they're too hard.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think it feels fine. Like, it seems like a fine game. I'm a little bit worried about how some of these mobile sort of tropes are going to work on this game when they get to other platforms, especially like this creating healing potions thing. If you're playing it in VR, it's like, okay, well, just sit here and stare at this hut for 10 seconds while a potion makes.
What?
You know, like...
Say that again to me? Like,
I don't know.
This game is eventually going to be in VR?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they showed... Remember when they showed it off at E3? It's like coming to consoles and PC and VR, because they showed someone playing it on VR and then like going into the office and ignoring a business meeting they were in because they were playing it on their phone. But I don't know, like... We don't have those versions out, so we don't know, but like, how are you gonna... How is opening a chest in 3 hours gonna feel on a PS4 or an Xbox One?
Not gonna feel good.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we ran into some of that with Fallout Shelter coming to consoles, and that felt fine, because you do a bunch of stuff, and you close the app, and you go play something else. You might do that with Elder Scrolls Blades, but it might just... It might feel weird, and it might get people chomping at the bit maybe more for Elder Scrolls 6.
Man, did they put Fallout Shelter in VR?
God, that'd be crazy.
It'd be like having your own little ant farm.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Just have to duck down to get to the lower levels.
Oh, that'd be good.
I think Elder Scrolls Blades feels fine, but I'm curious to see where it goes, but I'm probably not going to play it too much right now.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about just Bethesda in general at the moment. Like, just kind of seeing their trend on games, comparing it to another prominent RPG makers, and thinking like there's a big rumor that Elder Scrolls 6 might take place that like in Hammerfell, which I realize probably no one hardly played Daggerfall, but to me, you just put another mainline entry of Elder Scrolls in a country that you've already done.
Oh, sure. Right.
It'd be like, here's Morrowind 2, or something.
Here's Final Fantasy 16. We're going back to Midgar. And it's like, wait, no.
Oh, yeah. Better example.
we did that. No. Going back to Evilise. It's like, wait, no, not again.
We've been to Evilise so many times.
I know Evilise, please. Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be really interesting to see how they balance the mobile stuff and the single player RPG stuff, because they have to know that Elder Scrolls 6 has to be that single player offline RPG experience. Because if not, I feel like people are going to go, okay, no thanks.
Like, I feel like they have to know that.
If that happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I'm worried about like when you look at Fallout 4 and all the construction in it. Like, I was one of the people who really liked the construction in it, and I liked the creating stuff in Skyrim. I don't want that. Like, that sounds like a nightmare to put that as a major component in a medieval fantasy game.
Right.
Like, I don't want that in Elder Scrolls 6 necessarily. Like, let me build my house and own property and whatnot, or make traps or something, or spells, but don't like have the freaking.
I don't want to play Fable 4. Like, I don't want to build an entire kingdom. You know, like that's not what you're for Elder Scrolls. Like, you want to play Elder Scrolls to play a first-person exploration game that has kind of okay battle, and you come into a cavern, and next thing you know, you're in that stupid gnome dungeon again.
Exactly. I mean, those games are entirely about exploring the worlds and the culture for me.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what I want out of Elder Scrolls 6. And, you know, I may still give it a chance. I mean, I'm not writing it off if they put it in Hammerfell again, but I am writing it off if it's not a single-player RPG.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair.
If it's a multiplayer, I'm out. I'm already out.
Yeah, that's not what I'm there for.
Yeah.
I'm there to collect all the cheese wheels in the village and stick them in my house and take a screenshot of it.
But I don't think that's an unfair opinion to have either, because it's just that I'm dying for a single player experience. I really want the focus to be on the story again, and I know that if you pursue multiplayer, you either have to pursue it really well at this point, or I'm just going to know that you didn't invest money into either way. Right. You're not, like, you're either going to have a not good multiplayer in a solid game, or it's going to be, I don't know why you even bothered. Like, you wasted money there. So I'm just like, give me the solo player experience again. I just want to.
It really feels like the AAA Western RPG is kind of dead.
I've been talking about that with somebody, but I'm like, I don't want to say that on the podcast.
Oh, my bad.
I don't want pitchforks to come after.
I mean, it's certainly not been a great couple of years for Western RPGs. I mean, either they're single-player games that aren't really doing super great, like Mass Effect Andromeda, or they're sort of online live service things that aren't doing great, like Destiny 2, Anthem, and Fallout 76.
And not to talk bad about Destiny 2, because I think it's gotten to a really good place, but I think this whole releasing a game that is not of the quality that I would expect from a AAA has, like, been really bearing down on me, especially on the Western side of things. It's just like, you're not releasing a game. It's bad that, like, day 7 or whatever, they have to start showing roadmaps of, like, hey, we're going to, like, we can't be doing this over and over, guys, because now I don't want to buy anything from you guys at all, because I don't trust you. I don't trust that I'm going to put down $50, $60 on a game and it's going to be a fully finished game released experience that I'm looking for, when I could just wait for a Japanese maker to make a $50, $60 game and immediately pop in, like, yeah, it plays, it works, it's good. I don't need anything else. I'm having fun. And so, like, that's something that's been frustrating me, and why I've been so reluctant to buy a single Western game at the moment, because I just keep seeing this pattern of roadmaps or live service things, or just one after another, and it's bumming me out, because I love Western games, and I don't want this to be a trend that continues, and I don't know how gamers could stop it without just saying, just stop buying this stuff, stop supporting it until they fix it, because I don't know what else to do.
Yeah. Well, and they, I guess on the positive side for Western development, like I don't know what to call it, the B space, the AA space.
Yeah.
The not AAA space for Western RPGs, we at least have some. I mean, I don't think you play any of them, but, like, the Wasteland 2, I think, was a decent game. I think.
Yeah. Like the classic PC
Torment
RPGs.
was decent. Like the Divinity Original Sin games are fantastic.
I jumped on the Kickstarter with both of those with you, the Wasteland 2 and the Divinity.
Right. There's that Outer Wilds game that they're showing that is from that same lineage of developers that might, I don't know that much about it, but that might be something along that same vein. I think you're right, Musum. Like, you want to look at that, the sort of indie and sort of AA space for some of this stuff.
That's where I've been going.
Yeah, especially In Exile, Obsidian, other studios Microsoft has purchased. You know, like some of those guys.
You know, maybe that's some hope right there. Maybe Microsoft will really pump some money in those guys to really blossom.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially Obsidian. They just need time. That's how the games don't have bugs in it. Just give them a little bit of time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What else have I been playing? No good segue there. So Avengers Strike Force. I always play that a pretty decent amount. You know, we got a clan on TVGP. It's full at the moment, but we're, you know, if you express an interest and play regularly, there's usually someone Moon can kick out.
At the very least, there's an incredibly active Discord channel that has all sorts of... it keeps going in there like, oh, let me see how many messages. 75 in the last day, and some people are talking about some hot strats.
They, oh yeah, no, we got this whole... I don't know how they found us, but like this group of like hardcore players like ditched off their old clan and joined ours.
Yeah.
And we just kind of negotiated the way in and made one of their members an officer. And
one of them just joined the Destiny 2 clan, too.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, you figure, like, at some point there's going to be crossover to the rest of the cast stuff. But
right.
So they introduced Alliance War to the game, where, I mean, your alliances go to war. So they... it's kind of cool the way they did it, is you're each attacking each other's helicarriers. And each helicarrier has, it's either 9 or 12, I think it's 9 spaces. No, it's got to be 12. Anyway, they have like 12 spaces that you can defend and attack. And you can have 2 players defend and attack in each space.
Okay.
Any characters you put in those spaces that defend it, you can't use to attack. And any character you use to attack, you can only use once. So
interesting. Okay.
That makes sure that, like, you know, the whales just can't wholeheartedly immediately run over everyone. I mean, they still get a pretty big advantage. But
and there's some cool strategy there too. That's interesting.
Yeah. And like you know, you're very limited on energy spending in it. You know, usually you're only going to be able to attack 4 or 5 times at most in the 24-hour window that a war is occurring. And wars only occur, like, I think 3 days a week or something like that. Like, they're pretty time intensive. Like, and they're a lot of fun. But I know because they're so time intensive, they're going to get old after a little while, I think. But the cool part is the different compartments in the helicarrier all give your defensive characters different bonuses in battle. So, like, if someone takes out the... gosh, I don't remember what does what. Let's say the armory gives you, like, plus 40% shields or something like that. So, if someone takes that out, then you lose that stat. Like, another place gives you deflect, which, you know, means they miss when they target you. Like, there's a lot of bonuses you get from all the places, so there's kind of incentive to protect them all. But it's been a whole lot of fun, like last week or so that they introduced this, and it's, you know, I think we've won 3 out of 4 so far. I think we're about to lose the one we're in right now because all their teams are just ridiculously high power.
That sounds really cool.
But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Anyway. And then last but not least, quick mention to Final Fantasy Brave Exvius.
Yes.
They had a Xenogears event.
Someone remembers Xenogears?
Which I was beginning to doubt that Square even still owned the rights to Xenogears anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, didn't someone else do the Xenoblade games? It wasn't Square, was it? Was it like Namco
or
something?
Monolith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, wasn't Faye and Ellie in those games?
Oh, I'm sure they have references to them. Because, like, the whole thing when you finish Xenogears, it was like, Xenogears Episode 7. And you're like, the what now? And I think they had, like, 9 or 10 episodes they had planned. And Square... Xenogears flopped, to put it nicely. And I think they went off to go to Monolith Soft. And they're like, we're going to tell the whole saga. And then... Xenosaga did okay, and then Xenoblade did pretty well, and I think at this point they're like, whatever, we're just making RPGs. we like RPGs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was happy to see those characters. I got a 7-star Faye.
I locked into 1 too. Yeah.
I might have spent a bunch of money and gotten
That's
Ellie
all right.
and Bart too. But like they actually like you're still spending too much money. But I appreciate the system they have in place now of the step up summons where you get one at the end, and now on top of that you get like a ticket with each one. And then you just need like one more of those tickets, and you can just straight up summon one of those characters.
Yeah, and you get one of those tickets like from just doing the raid that's running. So I feel like it's their version of bad luck protection. We're sort of like, look, if you go through and you spend like 25,000 lapis, and then you do a little bit of the raid, you just get to pick the character you wanted if you didn't get it, or like you want 2 of them because you want a 7-star. Like it feels much more fair.
It still costs a lot of money, but
it does.
It is. Yeah, you will probably hear less tales of the guys posting that they spent $2,000 trying to get a specific character.
Hopefully, yeah. And right now there's a Final Fantasy Tactics event with super deep cut characters, including Construct 8, which is a character I was not sure anyone else remembered. So that's fun.
I did not until I saw him, and I still like don't. I'm like, oh right. I don't remember a thing about him, but
yeah, there's like that cool side quest. There was like the 2 big side quests was one getting Cloud, and the other one was Construct 8. Where you have to like fight the other constructs, and you have a robot in your party. And God, Tactics is good.
I gotta replay that.
Put it on Switch. Just put the trilogy on Switch because all 3 are great. And so many people heard so much bad stuff that really isn't fair about Tactics Advance 1 and 2.
I love those 2.
I love all 3 of them. I think the Tactics is probably the best, but I love Advance 1 and 2 both. Especially Advance's story is so dark. My God.
I'm that person who was like, I played Tactics. I didn't beat it, but I played it. But I beat Advance because I loved it. And people were like, "What?"
I 100%ed Advance.
I loved Advance. Like, I hated Advance. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with you. I love it. It's good.
I was talking to someone on Twitter about it, and I don't think they expressed the frustration, but there's still people expressing frustration about the law system in Advance.
Oh,
and
the judges?
Yeah, with the judges. And it's like, they made that because they don't want you to just keep the same 5 or 6 units in your party. Like, you have to switch party members out and have a diverse party, so like a diverse stable of people to choose from. That way you can play the game successfully. And I got my dander up about it again. I was like, Final Fantasy Advance is good, you jerks.
Gosh, I remember one of the more frustrating conversations I had with someone about Advanced was like I loaned them, or no, maybe they just got their copy. I think they just got a copy, and they like, yeah, no, I played the first mission. It was like a snowball fight. I'm like, no, screw this, I'm out. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's such a good tutorial mission too.
I know.
It's a Final Fantasy tactic, like it's an SRPG fight. You're just doing a snowball fight.
And then you get to go to the depressing story where everything that's wrong with your friends' lives are fixed in this other world, and for some reason you still want to make them go back to the other world.
Yeah, God, that story is just that's rough.
That kid can walk. That kid has a dad again.
Right, like everybody's happy, dude. Like, stop being. You're the villain. Stop doing this bad things.
Oh man,
let the Moogles be free.
I did never beat that game, but it wasn't because I didn't love it. It was because I always try and do everything and max out everything, or at least I did back then in those games.
Yeah.
I think now I could play through something like that and just try and get every character and maybe be happy. But
yeah, that story went exactly where you expected it to go. That ending was real dark. Marsh is basically like, all right, life is great. And everyone's like, I hate you, Marsh. I hate you so much. My life is terrible.
But anyway, that's all I've been playing.
All right, Mina, how about you?
So, I actually finished Kingdom Hearts on Proud Mode, the first one. It has been slain.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so let me just say, first of all, I would not tell anybody to play this game on Proud Mode.
Thank you. Vindication.
I did it because it's entertaining for people to watch me die, watch me get frustrated. Like that's entertainment for for somebody watching somebody play through the game. I don't think what I had to endure to like eventually beat the game was very healthy and improved my opinion of the game.
Right.
Because I hit a lot of what I would say like just walls that I would just have to set down the controller and be like, okay, I am either A, not good enough to do this, or B, too fed up with this to think straight and play this game properly. So I'm just gonna walk away.
Right.
And I think that part of it is because I don't want to blame it all on me, because I don't think, like, I'm not the worst gamer out there for sure, but I want to blame some of it on the game's combat.
Yes, you should blame most of it on the combat.
But the combat is very floaty, and that goes against a lot of how I've played a lot of games. Like, this is very floaty combat, so that's like one thing. The second thing is just that the game just seems to be weighted against you a lot of the times with like throwing weird things at you, like the swimming mechanic. Like, none of the other worlds have swimming mechanics. You now take the bad fighting mechanics that I'm struggling with and you throw me into a swimming mechanic area and you're like, okay, just do it, and everything is wrong. You have what is the word I'm looking for here, because it's really it's so frustrating because the combat's like this. The menus that you have to like hit buttons in while like, because if you want to cast spells and stuff, you either have the 3 spells that you've set and you can't adjust them. You're stuck with whatever 3 spells you set on like your quick bar thing or whatever. And then it's just like everything else is inaccessible to you except by going through the menus. And so like you're constantly fumbling through menus, which you have to use like, you know, controls around while running around in a space, and it's not easy to do all of that.
That's why in Kingdom Hearts 3 your quick menu has 12 buttons on it now.
3 or 4, however many there are not enough. I think it's 3. Pretty sure it's 3 in the Kingdom Hearts.
I think so, yeah. But either 3 or 4, like, it's still not gonna work.
The way that the game is just like, the combat's not good.
The problem is, I think Kingdom Hearts 1 is mean. Like, it is.
Oh, I remember what frustrated me. They didn't introduce, so like, because of the beginning of the game, I was like, oh, I'm going to pick the mage class and drop the sword, because I was like, that makes sense. Like, if I'm gonna go magic, I'm gonna drop sword.
So the
like, it makes sense in my head, and I've read that like it actually kind of makes sense if that's how you're going to play it. But the problem is the only way you can generate magic in Kingdom Hearts 1 is by hitting an enemy. So you can't regenerate any magic at all unless you're hitting the enemy. And that's a bummer, because then like you're trying to like, you know, build up the magic so that way you can do the damage, but you're hitting the enemy. And if you're hitting the enemy and you're not doing that much damage in the first place, then why not just go the other way around and just go, you know, more damage on the enemy and lower the magic? Because the lowering the magic doesn't actually lower magic attack. Lowering the magic just means you have a smaller magic bar.
Yeah, so, your MP bar is smaller. Yeah, so it doesn't make any sense.
Right. So, like, what I've actually done is I've really made this a little bit harder on myself by just saying, like, I want a bigger magic bar, but I want to hit for less damage, whereas the other side has all the benefits because you're already hitting the enemy, so you're regenerating your mana bar and also hitting more damage, and then you just spend the magic that you've accrued. So the only benefit that I, as a magic player, have is really that I start out with a longer magic bar at the beginning of a fight, and I can cast more magic at the beginning, but it's all weighted against you when you do it my way, it feels like.
In Kingdom Hearts 3, the MP system I feel is way better, which is the way you regenerate MP is by exhausting your MP bar. When it's out, it starts regenerating, and your MP stat dictates how fast that regenerates. And then,
so I've heard that's how Kingdom Hearts 2 works as well.
Okay, I couldn't remember, but yeah, like that's a way better system, because like, well, if I'm gonna do magic, I can't go over there and hit people my attack stat isn't good enough, like, but I can hang out back here and use some items or do a little bit of magic, but the other system is just... Kingdom Hearts 1 is a rough game.
So the other thing is that you have to reach certain levels to learn certain abilities, and I think because of the route that I picked, I didn't learn how to guard until like level 40 something or something like that. That's a pretty far.
That's real late in the game.
I didn't have a guard ability, so because it was like so late in the game, when I finally unlocked guard, I'm already trained to not use it. So why would I activate it now? Like, why would I try and learn? Because guard is really specific in Kingdom Hearts 1. You only, like, when you press it, you are on like an you're committed to this guard movement that takes like what feels like it's a 2-3 second like animation, but it only actually like covers for like maybe a second or less. Yeah. Like, so you have to hit the guard within that 1 second timer, but your animation is 3 seconds long, or what it feels like. So because it's like that, the animation also isn't like, it doesn't feel immediate. Like if you're trying to guard and you're like, the attack's coming, I'm gonna press it, like that's too late. You need to like guard, and then the ability has to come after. Like you can't,
you have to anticipate it a little bit.
It's not good.
No.
And I know some people are like, it's like, you know, once you do it, you're really good at it, and then you can do all kinds of these fancy guard things. And I'm just like, I've spent 80% of this game not using that guard button. I've been doing dodge rolls and running. I am not about to learn how to guard now. Like I'm too far gone. Gone. So there's that. And then like the game has those stones, and I'm trying to find words to not curse about this because I'm so mad. You get to the final area of the game, and there have been bosses that have been hard. Okay, yeah. There have been bosses that are so ridiculously easy on proud mode. I'm just like, I don't understand how anyone would ever like rank this as a boss. There's some bosses that just like mash the whatever button to hit the monster and just like smack, and just never stop smacking, and you'll just win that way, even on proud. So I go into the final area, and I don't remember how many deaths I had in the game at this point, maybe 50 or something like that. I get into my first random encounter, and I die. I repeat that first random encounter again, I die. And these enemies, if I only had to fight like one of these enemies like one-on-one, it's easy. I can do it. You throw in a second one, and it becomes a little bit, it's a little more challenging. It's just like, it's doable. I can do it. You throw 3 in, and then you've got like yourself like a problem, a situation. The first encounter, they throw like 7 of them at you. And they do all kinds of horrible, nasty things. They got like, so they have this thing where they first of all, like, I swear to, like, I swear that you couldn't hit these enemies. Like, they have so many like invulnerable, invincible moves. Like they can't be hit or whatever. So that's number one annoying thing about them. So they leave very little time to like, attack or retaliate. But sometimes they throw their sword on the ground. They become invisible, non-targetable in the area, and instead like there's like this orb that like rotates around you, and then if you don't dodge roll or guard, I would assume, because I don't have guard equipped, but maybe guard would have worked. If you don't dodge roll properly and it like closes in on you, it like pretty much knocks me down into like the health that one other attack will knock me out. Right. But when there's 7 of them, you can have multiples of them drop their swords to the ground and cause orbs around you, and just like you can't count. There's no counter. There's no like you can't do anything. You're forced to do that. But then they also have like, they have this thing where they can fly up in the air where you can't hit them because they're too high up, and they send like orbs around the field, like just like basically I'm in like bullet hells, like stuff happening. And then you also have like they come swinging across the other side of the screen with their swords to come hit you. And that one I know how to hit. I know how to counter back or tech it or whatever we want to call it, where you stop it. I know how to do that. I can do that. But the problem is I'd have the orb guys coming around me. I have like the bullet hell coming at me, and then I have like these monsters that are sliding across the screen. And then the game thinks like once you get past like the first encounter like of that, which by the way, there's going to be like 20 more encounters all the way to the boss area that has these enemies. They introduce a new enemy, this little angel looking thing, little lantern angel thing that flies its little wings, and it can revive constantly.
That's
right. It has endless revives.
I forgot about that.
So then when you're like, okay, I have these enemies that are like almost always like invincible, and they throw the revivers in there.
It's your own personal hell.
It's so bad. I was like, the bosses in this game, nothing. I'm like, they're nothing compared to these guys together. And then like, oh, I got to this one fight where I swear there were like 4 or 5 or 6, or I don't know how many of those revivers, like just like 6 of them, 7 of them all reviving. That's not their only ability either.
Right.
Like they've got more than they can send out tornadoes on the ground that are just like constantly chasing you. So you have a tornado chasing you while they're reviving each other, and they can shoot like little lasers that go pew 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 while you're running. So like you've got lasers, tornadoes, and you're trying to kill them. And if you kill one and you're like, I got one down, one is down, another one will be like, and it'll be like raising another one. And then they also have this complete block move that they do. They flutter and like they can't be hit or damaged. They were the true bosses of Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, final boss at that point is...
I like once I made it, like I kept going back. I know this is so cheesy, but like every time I beat one pack of them, which used so many items, like I went to the shop and I bought like I bought like so many items, and I bought like I actually like slotted like a bunch of like mega elixirs and mega potions and whatever, because I was just like, I will brute force every single one of these fights at this point, you know? Like who cares? I'm chugging elixirs. This is something I've never done with games, by the way. I'm the type of person who hoards like every single potion item until I get to the very final boss, and I'm sitting on like 99 of like elixirs or whatever, and I'm like, okay, now's the time to use all these elixirs and stuff that I've been saving. So I am like, no, these trash monsters are the final boss. So every time I down a pack of them, I scuttle back to the save point, and I save, and then I scuttle back out, because the area that I was in actually had a save point that you could reach that wouldn't reset the entire room I was clearing. So I kept scuttle back into the save point, save, go back out, kill an enemy, you know, pack,
farm a little bit,
you know, and then reset all of. Oh, that was another super annoying thing. Kingdom Hearts 1 doesn't have like a fast way to menu to like equip items. You have to like go into the menu, go into this other menu, click the item that you want, click the spot that you want to put it back on, scroll down to the next one, click in another menu. So you're constantly like going through like what feels like so many screens to just equip something, and it's like, no, how about I just click the one item I want and then fast click, 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 and equip all these slots, because that would save me so much time. But it's like, no, we want to do it the other way around, where you have to single select everything and add it into your inventory, and it always resets back up into that.
The PS2 game, through and through.
I was like, I don't think that would have been so hard to program in just for my own sanity for this game. Like, that would have made this game like way less annoying to just do that. And I don't think that would have taken too much time to do. But yeah, wow, Kingdom Hearts. It was fun. It was very frustrating in that area. Like, I would say like that final dungeon area, whatever. Like, I came this close to just being like, what if I just restart the entire game over on easy or whatever, and just like beat the game and just say like, I did it. I didn't have to do that horrible. Oh, I did it, you know, like, but I like that point I was just too mad and frustrated. I was like, I'm gonna beat it. I'm just like, I'll mow through it somehow, and I don't care if I have to. Oh, I went back to an area and I grinded for a long time, because the enemies in that area were actually, I think they were one-shotting me or close to one-shotting me, and I was like, I would like to have a little more little more health than one shot.
Right.
So I did grind for like 5, 6, 10 levels or something. I don't remember. I grinded for a bit, but yeah, it was fun at parts. I would not ever recommend anybody play that game on proud mode unless you're
play
down.
On normal, play on easy.
Normal's probably fine. I imagine normal's probably
normal's
fine.
all right.
I think easy might be too far, but it was an experience. I'm glad I did it. I have heard from many people that I will enjoy Kingdom Hearts 2 because of all of my complaints that I had in Kingdom Hearts 1 are resolved in 2.
Yep.
Or like, you're not going to have like all these combat issues that you're having. Like, you can play the mage that you wanted to play in that one.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, I will get the true experience.
Right. Mage Sora rises again.
Mage Sora. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, that's Kingdom Hearts. I did actually start watching what do we call it? I would say the Chain of Memories movie that you can watch, which is basically all the cutscenes tethered together. I finished half of it.
Okay.
So I've met these hooded people's characters. What are the hooded people? The
guys in the black cloaks.
Yeah, the organization people.
Yep.
And I felt like emotionally attached to one of them at some point. Like I started to like that Axel or whatever. I was like, once I got to this one part, I was like, oh no, I actually started to like you a bit. And then I did not like that girl, Larxene.
Oh boy, Larxene.
Wow.
She's a great villain in that I completely hate her.
She is a word that we can't use on this podcast. Yeah.
I think if you like Axel, you're going to really like Kingdom Hearts 2.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. Axel, it continues to be a very important character throughout the rest of the Kingdom Hearts games. He's beloved by the Kingdom Hearts community, so he kind of like shows up in all of them.
Oh, okay.
He's like, hey, it's Axel. Hey, it's me, Axel. What are you guys doing? All right.
He's the Miles Edgeworth where basically Miles Edgeworth was supposed to go away after the first one, but everyone loved him so much that they were like, we gotta sneak Miles Edgeworth somehow into
Hello,
like
it's
every
me again, Miles. I'm back.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love you.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kingdom Hearts and Chain of Memories. I'll eventually get to it. I think right now though I'm trying to beat VIII. So that was another one that I put some time into. I met the blacksmith lady. The blacksmith lady, the brunette. I remembered her as the lady who asked if I wanted to have a drink with her on the boat. And I was like, oh yeah, it's that lady. I wonder if I'll get a drink with her now. But she's pretty cool. So I've met the people that I've met is that that guy who I've affectionately called Car Crash. Because he is not a pleasant person. I don't even, what is his name again? Like I call him Car Crash. I know it's not. I know it's something like it has the letters in there that I'm using.
Is it the older guy? Is it the weird blonde sniper guy?
Jerk. It's the jerk who's like, it's just like, I'm not gonna do anything. And like, you guys are peasants, and I'm rich and wealthy, and I'm better off than everyone. And
the guy where you're like, oh yeah, I finally got another guy. And then you go to the boulder, and the guy's like, no, I'm not gonna help you.
I'm not gonna help you. This is meant for peasant work. I'm going to go back to my spot. And why haven't we made a boat yet? Why are we wasting our time on all of this stuff? I want to get off this island.
It's just Veruca Salt.
I'm just like, I hate this guy. I'm calling him Car Crash from now on. I don't care what his name actually is. It's Car Crash. Whatever his name is. I met him. I met the doctor. And the blacksmith lady. So, what and that car crash thing's gonna bug me because I don't remember his name anymore. I actually remember everybody else's name. Kierkegaard is the doctor. That's insane. I remember their names out of nowhere. But like, yeah, so there's that. I basically uncovered like a good portion of the entirety of the island. I guess we're gonna have to work on like getting to somewhere else that I can't reach normally because I think I've dead-ended about everywhere. We've built a watchtower or whatever, like to see where when monsters are coming to attack, the primordials, aka the dinosaurs, but they keep calling them primordials.
Have you done the town defense yet?
Oh yeah, we've done the town defense. That was pretty cool. That was actually, I actually really liked that. I don't know if people hate that aspect of the game. I loved it. I was like, this is fun. I think the best part of that town defense thing was like I'm playing it and I'm defending and I'm like, you know, running back and forth to places, and then all of a sudden you hear like somebody like say like oh, I'm gonna help you or whatever, and then like you're not expecting much out of like, you know, NPCs coming to help you, and then suddenly they just AoE kill everything on the screen. It's like all gone. Everything is wiped out in one fell swoop, and you're like, damn. Why aren't they traveling with me normally? You know, they could one-shot an entire zone. Oh no, I also met the nun. I met the nun. She was gathering mushrooms in a completely pitch black cave.
Yeah.
Which
this
like
will go well.
Right, and inside there was like giant mushroom monsters or something. There were like giant monsters inside there, and she's like, oh, I was sure that God would protect me and find me. You know, I needed food and blah blah, and surely I would be safe. And I was like,
get out of mushroom monster cave, lady.
Yeah, and she was like, you tell her like, you didn't think this was dangerous. It's like, well, you guys showed up, so it worked out. God led me to you. So I'm like, okay, sure.
JRPGs.
All right.
She's a bit of a ditz through the whole game, but I guess she gets better, but her story arc is so stupid it's hard for me to like give her that credit.
Right.
I'm probably being overly like diminutive to her story arc. Like there's probably more depth there, and to me it's just, well, I don't know. I'll wait for you to get there and we can talk about it.
We'll see how I feel. Right now I'm like, how about you thank me for finding you instead of thanking God for delivering you to me, because I'm like, I just walked into this cave to save you.
Right.
Because you see her walking into the cave from outside, like from a distance, and you're like, maybe we should help her. And I'm like, God, okay. All right.
Yeah, it's like that game's easy to accidentally dead end on, but it's either just you like someone you missed somewhere that you forgot to pick up, or it wants you to go somewhere specific for an event or something like that. You know, it's
right.
Or you can clear this thing and you forgot about it, or yeah, it's something minor.
I think that it's working out really well so far. I had like the thing about like I remembered even now in Kingdom Hearts when I was in the Tarzan land, whatever it was called. Deep jungle or whatever, there was like a moment that I was stuck for a good hour, 2 hours, just going, where do I go? What do I do? There's absolutely no direction. I swear I've been everywhere. I've looked at every little thing. There's nothing that's like indicating like, hey, you didn't examine all of this. Whereas this game, I've come to spots where I'm like, oh, this is a dead end. Well, let me look at my map, and I'm like, oh, I can see like, you know, I have like stuff over here I can do. So I haven't had that experience yet in this game where it's like, I have absolutely nothing. There's nothing. I'm stuck. Where's the guide? So there's that. So I like East so far. I will. I plan on making this the next game that I try and beat, along with Steins Gate, which I can't really talk about because I'd just be talking about the literal story beats, and Steins Gate is really good. I really, really recommend people play it. Something that I've noticed about Steins Gate, this is a nice segue. Something that I've noticed about Steins Gate is that like everything seems to be like deep cuts. Like they make references if it's a deep cut reference that only people of that only if you are aware of that would you know. Like, when making references about places in America, like, what would come to your mind of like, okay, let's make a reference about Americans, and it's like you talk about New York, California, Florida, Hawaii is a popular location for like tourists around the world. And you're like, well, maybe Texas, because it's so big that, like, if you were a foreigner and you were looking at the, you know, the United States, you'd be like, that state's really big, you know?
Right.
So, like, you would think that, but instead they're talking about, like, Arkansas, Iowa, Oregon, and it's like they're talking about, like, they're trying to imagine, like, a place in America, and they're like, oh, like, Arkansas, and you're just like...
Right, and you're like, yeah, that's a state.
Yeah, I mean, it's a state, but not a state that I would imagine you would bring up, you know?
Right.
Like, there's, like, more people would say, like, you would mention New York or something, and the people would talk about New York and be like, oh, like, everyone would immediately know around the world, that's an important enough place in America that they would be like, oh, yeah, I know that. It's an American place. But, yeah, and then there's, like, I realized that, like, during this last video when I recorded, I was just kind of like, yeah, they make a lot of deep cut references everywhere, and that's the only thing. Oh, like when they're talking about a soda, like if you're going to name a soda, like a soda brand that everyone's gonna know around the world, what would you think of? Like Coca-Cola, probably, right? Yeah. Pepsi #2, maybe. Maybe you think of one or the other, but depending on your taste preference.
But Rintaro drinks.
He drinks Dr. Pepper. He is obsessive about Dr. Pepper, and I don't know of a. And the thing is, like, Dr. Pepper actually has like that root taste that a lot of other countries do not like the flavor of.
Yeah.
That rooty taste is not like it's not that it's not that liked. And I've heard from like some people from other countries that specific root is actually used in like porta potties and stuff around the world to kind of like
sounds about right.
Because it's such an overpowering smell that it can like cover up the bad smell. So like other countries say that like that particular flavor reminds them of porta potties, which reminds them obviously of what goes in them. So thusly the drink tastes like trying to drink porta potty water.
Right.
So like the fact that he drinks only Dr. Pepper is kind of strange, and it's enjoyable to like really kind of see something that's just kind of like not going for like all the easy sort of like referential sort of things. Instead,
not
it's
like they say waifu and they're like, we love anime. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Or if like someone was trying to talk about a video game and they're like, oh, the Pokemons, like you're playing a Pokemon game or something like that, instead of like referencing, oh, like you play that Guilty Gear game or something.
Right,
like,
they're going to talk about
like,
frog fractions or something.
So it's just kind of like, it's cool. So I can see like the genuine love of all these unique things coming through in this game, and it's a delight.
Yeah, it's never really making fun of them. It's always sort of like, look, we like them too, and it makes us a little weird, but that's okay, because we like this stuff.
This is probably the geekiest game I've played.
Yeah, it's way up there.
It's really geeky, and I like it.
Yeah.
I guess I should kind of give you an idea of where I am in the game. I've acquired the thing from the
yes, the
Lukoko's father.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who I have to keep saying is a guy.
Right.
But
that was a good scene.
He's a guy.
Yeah, the very important object.
The thing, yes.
Yeah.
We've obtained it. So I don't know what's going to happen with that.
The game really started taking off for me at that point. Like it kind of kept ramping and ramping and ramping.
Yeah.
And starting from that, that game is really good.
I'm still in chapter 2. I don't know how many chapters there are, but that's where I am.
7? Let me look. 8 chapters. There's like there's a whole bunch, and then you like go through all the other endings you missed, and then get the true ending after that. I was told that it was kind of like they were like, be prepared for a 999 type thing where you have to go down other paths. And I don't even know where the branching paths would be, because so far it feels very linear, so I haven't felt anything that's like, that was probably a path.
I haven't felt any of that. So
yeah, you've already made a bunch of decisions, not really knowing it. But that's what I like about Steins Gate is like, by the time you get to the end of it, and like you start one of the characters' endings, it's sort of like, oh, okay, sure, yeah, like I like that character. Like it sort of leads you towards one of the characters you like.
Oh.
Because you've just made all these little choices throughout the game.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and there's a really good, I would say after you finish the first character, there's a really good flowchart out there for, like, save here, make this choice, you'll get this ending. Like, go through all this, make these choices. There are 11 chapters.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm only in chapter 2.
A lot of them get faster, because,
okay.
like, you're still getting through all the story setup. And then some of those chapters are also, like, here's the canonical bad ending for the game. That's one chapter. Like, here's the canonical good ending, and then here's the true ending. Like, those might be 3 different chapters.
I see.
Yeah.
I'm playing the first way through completely blind. I think the second way through, I'll try and find like where it says to like make your save spot or wherever, and then just try and kind of maybe navigate through there the second time through without looking at anything as well, but just make different choices and see where that ends up. And then maybe my third and etc. I'll just like follow straight through a guide.
Yeah, there are a lot of really good options in that game for fast forwarding through text you've already seen, but it'll stop when the phone rings, and it'll stop on text you haven't seen yet.
That is a good feature.
Yeah, and the fast forward is very fast. So, like, your subsequent playthroughs are going to be lightning fast.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So, Steins Gate's really good.
Yeah.
Still really good. And I guess the last thing I'm going to talk about is a mobile game that I play way too much of. And it's called Epic 7. And I love this game so much. I know I've brought it up in the past, but I really need to talk about it because I play this so much. I also have streamed this game, and it's gotten to the point where I love this game so much I feel like I might make guides and stuff about it because I love it that much.
Oh, nice.
It's really cool because they've made a couple of changes in the game already. They've done a lot of quality of life type stuff. And how do I go about like putting like what this game is kind of like? So it's just like a layered battle system with ATB weight. That's one thing. So like units are also they have like speed stats or whatever. So like faster units get turns back faster, and you can see kind of where they are on the fight bar on like when their turn is coming around. And you basically go through rounds of battles in the game. There's a lot of good stuff in this game. I think that it is one that's going to go on for a very long time.
Good.
I really feel that it's made for a very good market. They made it in mind. They made it basically a game that can run on lower end phones. That was kind of their goal from the start, was a lower end game phone that looks really good. So it looks really good, and that was their goal. It plays on a lot of the older devices I have, which is, also really good. And despite having rates that are very low, I would say that it is countered by the fact that all units are useful, really, if you want to get down to it. It's like you don't have this power gap where it's like you would only use the 5-star characters. Like only 5 stars are worth it. So in my guild, we have somebody who uses 2-star monsters, and 2-star monsters you don't really get from summoning. You just get them as drops in the game. But he has built 2-star units and has completed content that basically I've heard people complain that they can't get through with their 5-star units. He is like, and what I've said to a lot of people is that like there's no 100% bad character. There's only just like bad decisions you can make on building a team together. So it's more about building like units that make sense to go together, like team synergy type stuff, rather than just fill out a team of 5 stars and you'll just win the game. That's not quite how it works. And I love this game quite a bit. It's gotten me to basically drop every other mobile game that I play outside of just kind of logging in on some and
doing your dailies.
Doing my dailies, and then I'm out. But Epic 7's the one that if I have a phone sitting up next to me, it's probably loaded up on my phone, and I'm just constantly playing it all the time throughout the day.
Nice.
So, boy, do I love Epic 7 a lot. But yeah, those are the only things that I've been playing. What about you, Boston?
I have been playing a lot of Destiny 2, but I don't really want to talk too much about it. There's a new season with new Gambit stuff. That stuff is really good, but the game is getting sort of deeper and deeper into some of its existing systems already, and some of that is kind of really inside baseball. So like Gambit launched before a couple seasons ago. Now they put in Gambit Prime, which is sort of their second take on it. It's really good. And they have another system called The Reckoning, which is a really great name. And they basically made a wave-based horde mode. And that works really well. And both of those game modes feed into each other. Like you get drops from one that makes gear and another one that will give you bonuses in the other one, and it's sort of this cool cyclical thing. And so far it's working pretty well. But the reason why I've been playing it a lot is because I'm really close to a couple of seals. So how seals work in this game is they introduced triumphs a while ago, and they're just in-game achievements. Seals are a collection of triumphs, and then it's a lot like World of Warcraft, where, you know, like if you do this special event every month for 12 months, you get this title and an achievement and all that stuff. Very much the same thing. Like I have the Dredgen title for Gambit, because I did all of the really hard stuff in Gambit, so then I get a seal and I get a title, and Dredgen shows up under my name when I'm walking around the world. So I'm really close to getting the Cursebreaker for Dreaming City, which is the second public space, the second planet for Forsaken. And then I'm really close to Chronicler, which is the lore-based title, which I've been working on for about 6 months. So the fact that I'm really close to it is pretty exciting. But Destiny 2, I think, largely continues to get better the deeper and deeper we get into the annual pass. But the hard part is, it's a little hard to recommend Destiny 2 to a new player right now, because it's kind of an expensive proposition to get into. Like everything up to and including Forsaken is $60. That's a lot of content. But then the annual pass beyond that is $35. And they have like a pack for $90 or whatever, but that's a lot of cash. You don't have to buy it all at once. Like you can just buy the $60 thing and you get the main game, 2 DLC packs, and then the big Forsaken expansion. So you have a lot of content there, and if you like that and you want to extend it, then you can buy the annual pass. And thankfully Bungie is putting out stuff. If you don't have the annual pass, there's still content coming out for you. If you do have the annual pass, you get additional stuff. So I feel like Destiny 2 is as long as you don't really love competitive PvP, Destiny 2 is in a really good spot. If you like competitive PvP, you're probably not playing Destiny 2 right now, because that's in a really bad spot. But that's like a very, very, very small percentage of the population that is being done wrong by Bungie right now. But I continue to play Destiny 2 because I have a lot of stuff I still need to do in it, and I have a lot of fun with it. We talked about it on TVGP a couple months ago maybe, about something being your third place. Like your first two places in life are work and home, and then third place is like that thing you go to escape, or to your hobby or something, like playing music or reading books or watching TV movies. And for me, my third place is largely Destiny 2. So when I have downtime, when I want to just kind of chill and relax, well, Destiny 2 is already installed on my PS4, so let's just fire that up. Maybe potentially to the detriment of me playing other stuff. But I did play a similar game. My other game this month is The Division 2. Tom Clancy's registered trademark, The Division 2. I bought this. I never played The Division 1, and I always meant to, because this subgenre is my jam. These online loot shooters are if anyone has listened to this for a while, I really like them. I never got to the first one because when Division 1 and Destiny 1 sort of launched at a similar time frame, both of those landed in really bad spots. And I think all of us that picked up Destiny 1 was sort of like, oh, Division 1's making the same mistakes. Like, I'm not gonna do this twice. Like, I'm once bitten, twice shy over here. And they eventually did get into a good spot, and I did buy it at some point, and I never played it, and I really regret it, because that game turned out to be really great. I played the closed beta for Division 2. I don't know if I talked about it on the show, but I sat down for it and I was like, I'll check out like a mission or so. I played for 5 straight hours. I was like, okay, I should if I enjoy this much, I should probably just buy the full game. So I did, and man, am I happy to say that this is a really great, fully featured, very long third-person shooter. They have taken the lessons that from Division 1, Destiny 1 and 2, they probably took some of the stuff from Anthem, before Anthem was making those mistakes, and they fixed all that stuff. I think one of the biggest compliments I can pay to the Division is there were no online issues when it came out at all.
That's surprising. Like, yeah. You always expect, like, even, like, no matter what, I've always expected, like, a little bit of online issues just because nobody knows without, like, what it's like to have all these hits hitting your servers.
Yeah, so. Like, I bought, there's, like, 3 versions. I bought the middle version so I could get the early access and the season pass, so I could create the clan. Check the Discord for the clan name. And there were no issues on early launch, which sort of expected. There's going to be a smaller amount. And then as soon as the game launched later that week, no issues at all. Like, hundreds of thousands of people were pouring in, and nothing really went wrong. And anytime they have maintenance, it's like 15 minutes. It's like, okay. Well, that's
not bad.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It feels really great to play, and I think, importantly, there's so much content in this game, it's crazy, and all of it is really good. It's sort of broken down to, it is an open world game. They did like a 1-for-1 recreation of Washington, D.C. for like a large part of the city. And a lot of it is broken into, like, stuff you run into as you're out and about. Like, there's a propaganda station that got set up, or bad guys are trying to, publicly execute one of your people, that sort of stuff. You'll clear out that stuff as you're walking around, reclaiming areas, reclaiming settlements, that sort of normal open world stuff. Then you have main missions, the stuff that progresses the story, as thin as the story is. It's very, very thin. And then you have probably double the amount from main story for side stories, and those are just as long and just as complex as the main missions. It's not like, well, here's an hour long for the main mission, here's a side mission, it's 15 minutes. You know, they're all in sort of dungeon areas. So you'll go into this building and you'll do a mission in this building, or this sports arena, or this underground area. I just reached level 30, which is the level cap, right before I finished the game. That probably took me about 40 hours, and I have touched very little of the side stuff. So this Division 2 is a very large game. Part of what's really interesting is when you hit 30 and you finish the game, it actually resets the world, and basically everything you did, you get invaded, and this new enemy force comes in, and the world changes quite a bit. So that's where I'm at, and that's pretty exciting. But one thing that I thought was exciting, we were talking a lot about these online shooters and single-player RPGs and stuff. I played this almost completely as a single-player RPG. What's really great is when you go up to a mission, or a dungeon, as we might call it, there's like this, like the mission name and level and who controls it on the outside. You can actually walk up to that and hold square on PS4, and it'll find some people for you to hop in with, and then you can just go in the dungeon, or you can just walk in. So I played almost all of this solo, and it worked really well. It was tough, but not in an unfair way. It was a good challenge, and I was kind of digging that, especially coming off of Anthem. I was kind of digging being in this world and doing all these missions solo. You can call people in if you really want, but I kind of liked playing one of these games as just one dude, lady, because I don't play as guys in these games if I can make a lady. But I thought, you know, Destiny and Anthem push you into having a party. Like, you have to matchmake for a lot of this content. And for this game to just say, like, no, you can do solo, like, go crazy, whatever. I thought that was really great, and I think for people like us, that might be a good selling point for the Division 2. It's like, if you just want to play it by yourself, cool. If you want to play it with friends, cool. If you want to play it randoms, that's cool too. Like, whatever. I know they're launching an 8-man raid at some point soon, and I know that's going to have matchmaking too, so we'll see how that goes. But Division 2 is really good. I think one of the biggest praises I can pile upon it is that it all just works. Like, it's all just really good. I don't have to say, well, Division 2 is good, but, you know, you'll have to deal with X, Y, and Z. It's just, all of it works, all of it's really good. There's almost no story, which is probably fine. But it's just really good, and I want to go play more of it. Because I've only really seen a fraction of it after, 40-45 hours. So I think that's pretty good. It makes me excited to see that loot shooter developers can learn from the mistakes of other games in the genre. Warframe thankfully has turned itself around pretty quickly after its rather rocky launch. But we really haven't seen a lot of other games bring it back that far. Even Destiny 2 still has a lot of work to do. But it's nice to have one of these games come out of the gate and have a ton of content, have a ton of gameplay, and say, yeah, it works. It's a really good game. It's really fun to play. And that's it. Like, just go play Division 2.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a nice change of pace. There's nothing really wrong with it. So I can't really complain. But that's all I've been playing this month, so let's move on over to RPG releases for April 2019. Final Fantasy X/10-2 HD Remaster comes out on the Switch and Xbox One on the 16th. Go play 10 and 10-2. They're both really great. I know Mina and I are big fans of 10-2 for all of its campy wonder. 10 is still really great. I played that through when it came out on PS4. And I thought I would revisit and say, like, oh man, it's like Kingdom Hearts 1. Like, oh man, it's been a long time since the PS2. Like, some of these games haven't aged well. 10 is still really good. 10-2 is still really good. 10-2 is probably a little bit more understandable now that we've had some time away from Dress Sphere. Like, changing jobs in the middle of battle doesn't sound as crazy as it did then. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen comes out on the Switch on the 23rd.
Wow.
I love Dragon's Dogma a whole lot, even though it's weird and a little bit broken. I was going to say if you wanted your single-player RPG, that might be it, but it does have some minor online stuff where you're, like, recruiting your friends' units to wander around with you. But your friends is not a multiplayer game. It's just
it's really cool. I like that sort of integration though, where you can bring along one of your friends. Like your friend has built up a super powerful character and is sharing it for everyone to kind of borrow. And
yeah,
I like that.
It's a cool, weird game that I hope it doesn't have frame rate issues on Switch. I'm not really expecting it to, but as long as it doesn't, that seems like a really great place to play it. It's this cool, big, open world, crazy Capcom action JRPG. And lastly, Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age comes out on the Switch and Xbox One on the 30th. You should go play Final Fantasy XII if you haven't. Especially with the new changes they're making in this version of the Zodiac Age. They are allowing you to respec characters. So if you think you have made an incorrect job choice, you can pick another job for a character, which is really great and was sorely needed. So you kind of can't play Final Fantasy XII wrong now.
Yeah.
Which is the best way. 12 is really good. Don't listen to the people that are still hating it. All right, let's move on to news stories. Firstly, Gearbox has announced Borderlands 3, the worst kept secret that they've been talking about for the last 5 years and then pretending they haven't been, is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC on September 13th, which is really nice to see another game get announced and then, hey, it's coming out in 5 months, so you don't have to really wait that long. I have a lot of feelings about Borderlands 3, and that seems to be a very common sentiment. I am really excited about Borderlands 3 because it seems to be Borderlands, but takes part in multiple worlds, which is all I really wanted Borderlands 3 to be. So I'm pretty excited, but seems like how do you feel, Musum? How do you feel about this? This seems to be a contentious thing in general.
I don't want to bring anyone down.
No, it's okay.
I think the trailer looks great. It looks like more Borderlands, and I think that's for better and worse. I thought seeing that city looked really cool. I personally want an evolved Borderlands. Like, I feel like they need to not just release that entire same gameplay setup again. But a lot of people don't feel that way, and they're very excited for it, so I'm happy for them. So I need to see how it's evolved first before I hop on board, I guess is what I'm saying. And they haven't shown that yet, you know? Yeah,
that's one of the things I'm really hoping they'll show is, like, you know, Borderlands 2 is 10 years old now.
It is.
That was a great game when it came out, but there's so much more you can do with that, and there's so many more enhancements you can make to that idea. So, like, where does that go? And I think if it does just go to multiple planets, it's Borderlands 2 on multiple planets, that's fine, and I'll probably have fun with it, but it would be a bummer if they didn't expand more onto it.
I'll also say something else that I love/hate about the Borderlands series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like that they put the old characters in as NPCs. I hate that I can't still be the old characters.
Yeah, like, a lot of them look really cool. Like, the new Siren with all her spirit arms looks really cool.
Yeah.
And then they show Maya, and she's an NPC, and it's like, that's right. Yeah, Maya was really cool. So, yeah, I would agree.
Brick had a saxophone. Like, I killed the first boss of Borderlands by punching him to death with Brick.
That's like, very on brand for Brick. How do you feel about this, Mina?
I mean, for me, I really kind of just want, like, Borderlands again, and I don't mind if they improve it. I just don't want to go backwards at all. I think wherever we go, if I get like the same experience as Borderlands 2 with a different world, different characters or whatever, I know I'll have fun with it. I just don't want to do anything again that's super annoying, like keeping air bubbles or whatever. Let's not go down.
Man, the pre-sequel is so good. And it's really dragged down by some of that oxygen stuff. Like pretty quickly, it gets mitigated.
Oh, I'm sure.
But like the fact
that
it's
so annoying that it's there in the first place, where you're just like trying to get into the game, and then it's like it doesn't want you to have fun, and that
it's such a bad opening for such a good. That's my favorite Borderlands game is pre-sequel, because I think it took 2 and it evolved a lot of that stuff. I think largely because Gearbox didn't do it. I think some people had fun with what the expectations are for a Borderlands game, and I think that's part of what I'm excited about for Borderlands 3 is it's been so long, and I'm assuming a lot of people have come and gone from Gearbox in that time. So, like, what is a fresh new team that maybe loved Borderlands 1 and 2 and maybe excited them to go work at Gearbox? What would they do with a brand new Borderlands game? And I hope they were sort of given free rein to make that.
Yeah.
But I think they're pretty quickly in the next couple of weeks they're showing off some gameplay stuff. So I think then and probably during E3 we'll see some pretty meaty gameplay stuff of that, especially at E3 since it'll be coming out just a couple of months after that. So
I should probably also mention, like, how excited I would be for another Borderlands is also changed by how much free time I have, because those games take up a massive amount of time.
They're long games. Yeah, that's a good point too. But like, even we were talking about single player RPGs. You can play Borderlands single player and it really works, but it's still a long amount of time. So
it may be cool if they gave you two like character level points that carry across all the classes.
Sure, yeah. They did that a little bit in 2 with the badass points.
Oh, yeah.
But they never made like a big enough impact where it's like, all right, I checked all this stuff and suddenly I'm, level 500. Yeah. That's always sort of been a problem with Borderlands.
That's a lot of badass points.
Yeah, I just fired up. They just came out with a 4K pack for Borderlands 2, so I fired that up and enabled that. And I had like 56,000 badass points. It's just like, I didn't even play this that much. That's awesome. Borderlands. But talking about another super lengthy RPG, Perfect World Entertainment has announced that Torchlight 2 is coming to consoles at the end of 2019. This first Torchlight came to 360, and that did really well and controlled really well. But this never came to consoles for some reason. So they're going to bring that out later this year. I'm assuming it's going to be PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, but they haven't really confirmed. But
I'd play that again on Switch. I never beat it.
Yeah, I played a lot of the first Torchlight on 360, and I would happily fire up another Torchlight. I played maybe about half an hour of Path of Exile when it came out on PS4, maybe about a week or two ago. and sort of ran away screaming when I saw the skill tree. So something maybe a little bit more pared down is maybe the sort of the Diablo style game I'm looking for. Because I fired up Path of Exile and they gave me my first skill point. And I was like, all right, let's go check out the skill tree. It's like 700 skill things on like a sphere grid from Final Fantasy X. So it's maybe a little more intense than I was expecting. So
yeah, I guess they got their Torchlight Frontiers or whatever due out later this year. That's their big online thing.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen a lot about that. Like, they announced that, and they're like, it's going to be an online Torchlight. And I was like, well, let's see how this turns out. That could be cool, but I'm not sure that's what I'm looking for. But
yeah,
I don't know if they've really shown a lot about that.
I didn't know it existed until I saw your news bulletin point about Torchlight 2 and Googled it.
So maybe a little bit more marketing is due.
I heard about it from my friend, but this is a friend that I played Torchlight 2 a lot with. I also know that Final Fantasy XIV's expansion is coming in a couple of months, and I'm like, I'm going to be deep into that. I'm not going to...
Yeah, like, that's first priority.
Sorry.
Yeah. Do they have a... Oh, go ahead, Musim.
I'm confused. I'm Google sleuthing right now. So Runic Games, who made Torchlight, doesn't exist anymore. Right.
They put out Hob, and that game flopped in a really bad way, unfortunately.
Okay.
So Perfect World owned them and now owns the rights to Hob and Torchlight 2, which is why we just got a Switch port of Hob. I think they're trying to recoup some of that money, and I think that's why I think they asked Panic Button to do the console versions of Torchlight, so they'll be porting that.
Gotcha.
So
okay,
yeah. Which sort of, I guess, makes sense why we didn't see it on consoles before, because I think Runic was too small of a team to do that by themselves. So, or maybe they just didn't want to. I'm not sure. But thankfully we're getting it now. And that's all of our news stories for this month. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at pickingupthepixels.com. Everywhere to find and follow us on the right-hand side of the page. Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. Get all the cool behind-the-scenes and early access stuff. Not a lot for PUP, but there might be some outtakes from this episode. We talked a lot about anime at the beginning before the episode, so that'll probably show up in the Outcast. Hear about some JoJo's and... where can we find you online, Musim?
You can pick up my music at musim.bandcamp.com and find my musical hub at jbaudio.net.
And how about you, Mina?
You can find me on Twitch or YouTube under Mina KO Rocket and Boston.
You can find my shows at e1m1.com. Thank you so much for everyone for listening. Our adventures continue next month. Bye.
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 And thanks everyone for watching the live stream. Hello to the 2 new people from Mixer. Thank you for being cool, unlike literally everyone else we've run into on Mixer. And we'll see you all next month. Bye. Don't forget it's a week later for the next 2 months. Bye.